A finite game is a game in which there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. The players are known, the rules are agreed upon, and the objective is to win the game. And when the game is won, when the game comes to a conclusion, the game ends and we all go home. Football, for example. And then there's an infinite game. An infinite game has known and unknown players. The rules are changeable and you can play however you want. And the objective is to perpetuate the game, to stay in the game as long as possible. We are players in infinite games every day of our lives. There's no such thing as winning in friendship. There's no such thing as winning in marriage. There's definitely no such thing as winning global politics, and there's no such thing as winning business. Nobody's declared the winner of business. But if we think about it, and we listen to the words of too many leaders, they don't actually know the game they're playing. They talk about being number one, being the best, or beating their competition. The problem is, when we play with a finite mindset in a game that has no finish line, there's some very predictable and consistent outcomes. There's the decline of trust, the decline of cooperation, and the decline of innovation, and eventually the demise of the organization.
So what does it look like to run an organization with an infinite mindset?
Leaders who have an infinite mindset, instead of showing up to win, they show up to advance a just cause, something bigger than themselves, a vision of an idealized future so compelling, so just, that people would willingly sacrifice to be there. That could mean turning down a better paying job or working late hours or frequent business trips. And though we may not like these things, they feel worth it because I feel a part of something bigger than myself. They have trusting teams. Organizations that don't have trusting teams, people show up every single day hiding mistakes, pretending that they know what they're doing when they don't, refusing to ask for help, and eventually things start to crack and even break. But infinite-minded organizations, they are obsessed with ensuring that the culture is so strong that people feel safe amongst their own, as willing to ask for help and things like that. They also have changed their mindset away from having competitors, but rather to having worthy rivals. So a competitor is someone we want to beat, obviously, where a worthy rival is another player in the game who is worthy of comparison, and their strengths reveal to us our weaknesses. These infinite-minded organizations obsessed with who's actually better than they are, so they can learn more about themselves. They also have a capacity for something called existential flexibility, which means the willingness to make a profound strategic shift in order to advance the cause, a better way to advance the cause, even if it might mean short-term loss or short-term frustration. One of the best examples of this was in the 1970s when Steve Jobs and a bunch of his senior executives visited Xerox PARC, and Xerox showed them a new invention called the graphic user interface, which allowed people to use computers by moving a mouse. And here was Jobs with a just cause to empower individuals to stand up to Big Brother. He imagined a day where one day an individual would be able to compete with an organization. And he says to his executives after they left Xerox, he says, "We have to invest in this. We have to invest in this graphic user interface thing." And one of the voices of reason in the room says, "Steve, we can't. We've already invested millions of dollars and countless man hours in something else. We can't do that. We'll blow up our own company." To which Jobs said, "Better we should blow it up than someone else." That decision led to the Macintosh. In other words, he was willing to walk away from the strategy that they were following in order to pivot the entire organization to advance the cause a much better way. And then finally, the courage to lead, because all of the things that I'm talking about are really, really, really difficult. It's much easier to run a company quarterly or at most annually, as opposed to trying to think of a cause we want to advance. It's so much easier to just hire and fire people willy-nilly and not focus on culture and building trust. It takes so much work to be a good leader and create an environment in which people want to work at their natural best. And at the end of the day, it's the infinite-minded leaders who will do what's right rather than what's expedient. It's hard.
Is that something you can influence when you're not at the very top of the company?
Absolutely. It's more expedient when it comes from the top, of course, and you can use your job to advance your own just cause. And so at the end of the day, we don't have to resign ourselves to the fact that the senior leaders are short-term focused and there's nothing we can do. That's true. We can't change them. But we can show up to work every single day and be the leaders we wish we had.